How's it going? Cody here with another demo for you. This is the Quilter Overdrive 200 and the Frontliner 2.8 cabinet. I've been using this for about 2 weeks now, and I'm loving it. I've used this exact rig I'm going to show you today with a singer-songwriter with an acoustic and with a full band on ears, with a full band on wedges. I've gotten a good idea of what it does, and it's amazing. I turned it down when we were checking with wedges with a full band in a big room, and it's truly amazing. The Class D power that they're using is such a cool feature, and I'm not a super tech head. I don't understand it completely, but the way I understand the Class D is that when they say 200 watts, it's like 200 watts a tube. You know, when you have an 85 watt solid state amp, that's not going to keep up with a twin. If you put this at 85 watts, it's going to keep up with a twin in a big way. And what's so cool to me, excuse me, getting over a cold, is with that master, you're actually changing the wattage of the power amp. So you're not in an old school amp, you're sending the pre and the EQ to a static power amp, a twin. You have to run it on 2 because that 85 watt amp is going to shoot 85 watts times whatever you send it. Whereas with this, you're actually changing the wattage of the amp rather than attenuating your voltage so that times 85 watts, times 100 watts, it's at an appropriate level. You're actually changing the wattage. So you get the tone you want out of this where you need it. Playing with an acoustic guy, put it at 50 watts. Full band, my tone, 200 watts. And it's just a great tool for that very reason. I love it. I've gotten this consistent tone, you know, even out of a solid state amp. It's physics. When you're putting something through a static power amp, you have to crank it up for a louder band, you have to crank it down for a quieter band, and then there are physical properties that's going to change the tone. Whereas with this, it's the same. It's the same thing. I'm just changing the wattage. It's basically like I have a Princeton, a Deluxe, a Super, a Twin, a Quad Reverb, Super 6 that I can choose from at each gig. It's basically like having a Nashville 112, a Nashville 400, a Session 500, an Evans, and then a Steel Air. You know, it's like having everything you could want by changing that wattage, but the tone is the same through all of it. And the 2.8s are just amazing. I mean, the low end will almost run away quicker on this than on my 15 in my PV. For that old George Jones thing. It's just awesome. I'm using a Fender Boss, the brown reverb pedal, and I will put a picture of the gear and of the settings when I post this. So let me just do a little playing. The the gain is about 10 o'clock. Bass about 230, mid's about 11, highs about 1, and the master's just above 50 watts here right now. We're mic'd with a Sennheiser through the Apogee Duet and the Pro Tools. This is the basic tone I'm using with just the reverb. And it's cool. It sounds kind of like a tube amp. You know, it's got that touch response. Like a tube amp would have, but the reliability of the solid state. I really love it. It's already the first time I got it, I kind of overplayed it because I was used to a sterile sound in Peavey. And I got this, and the tone, it jumps off the strings. It really blossomed out the tone that I was used to. So what we'll do now is I'll put a little bit of overdrive on it. The Overdrive 200 is built, I believe, in the style of kind of the Dumble. It's Pat going for that thing. And bear in mind, with a steel guitar pickup, I'm getting a much hotter input. So it fuzzes out. It kind of does the Neve farty thing with the higher input. But using the lead mode on it, there's crunch and lead in the overdrive circuit. Crunch hits the... Crunch takes your input, hits the drive circuit with the output knob through a just Nashville Smile scooped mid thing into your power amp. The lead mode hits drive, output, your EQ. And then if you use both, it uses the crunch, just the Smile EQ. So I'm just going to use lead mode because it sounds best here with my EQ. And it's... It's cool. It's a nice middle range between a clean tone and a fuzz. The way I'm using it, it kind of does the Dwayne a little. It's sweet. It clipped out just a little bit there at the top. I'll see if I can shoot. Well, here. I'm just seeing on Pro Tools that it clipped ever so slightly. So it's a cool overdrive. I don't use it that much, really, for a lot I'm doing, but it's a cool practical option. And for as good as this sounds... For as good and as clean as that sounds, it's really cool to have that overdrive circuit as well that, done correctly, can kind of sound like Dwayne Allman. It sort of gets that feeling. So now I typically use a lot of reverb, but I also use a carbon copy delay sometimes for ballads and just for fatter things, sound effects in the studio. So this is a carbon copy with kind of my default where I'll put it sitting down. Cool. It fattens it up. You can take the bite. You can let the amp bite a little bit and then get a little bit of warmth in the repeats. And that's just a cool analog-y. And that's really as many. I usually run it about there, actually, even lower. Just enough to fatten up a ballad. Well, there you have the Overdrive 200. I am going to pause the video, move it over into the direct out, and then attempt to edit that all together. So here in just a second, you'll see it break, and then it will be the direct in. This has been through a Sennheiser that I'll put a picture of. I don't remember the model number. But yeah, see you in a second. Here we go with the direct out on the Quilter Overdrive 200. Still very fat. Most of them don't sound that good. It's a usable direct out. I've used it on a few shows, and I dig it. It works. The Quilter Overdrive 200 and the Frontliner 2.8 cab. I'm really excited to be an artist with those guys. They've been very kind to me, and I can't wait to get on some sessions and some more shows with this rig. It's really a great sound. I've gotten a lot of compliments from other players about the tones that I'm getting out of this thing, and it's a very versatile amplifier, built for guitar, but sounds great on steel guitar. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment or message me, and look forward to seeing everybody soon out on the road. Have a good one.